Good evening, everyone. My name is Barb Bruce, and I want to welcome you to the Better Together Facebook Live show. This is a 30-minute Facebook Live show where we talk about all of the things. We talk about our hopes, our dreams, our worries, and our waistlines. And my friends, it doesn't matter where you come from or what you've been through. Here on the Better Together Facebook Live show, this is where we find the hope, the help, as well as the practical next steps so that we can all get better together. And tonight I'm excited because I get to talk to a friend of mine who has so much encouragement for you this evening. If you have a dream that you have in life, or maybe it's been a while since you've had a dream. In fact, I would love to hear from you. This is an interactive Facebook Live show. So please jump into the comments and say hi. And hi, Tiffany Walker at Tiffany Edwards. You are already on it, honey. You are already on it. We love having an opportunity for you to join the conversation. So give me your name just like Tiffany did. And today's icebreaker question is, what is a dream that you have? It can be a big dream or a little dream. Maybe you dream of hiking the Grand Canyon. Or maybe your dream is to visit long lost family members. But tonight we're talking about just keeping our dreams alive. And so please share your name and give StreamYard your permission so that I can see your name in your comments. Hi, Brittany. Thank you for joining us. But tell us about your dream. And I want to give you permission. If you've never spoken your dream before, this is a safe place for you to share your dreams. And so if your dream is to be on America's Got Talent, that's your dream. Oh, Tiffany Edwards, I love her dream because, honey, it's mine too. Being fluent in Spanish and sign language. Yes, one day I dream of being fluent in Spanish. Thank you, Tiffany. And so if you're watching live or on the replay, please share your name in the comments. And so in a few moments, I'm going to bring out today's guest, and we're going to talk about pursuing our dreams. But before we do that, I am going to share more comments in just a moment, so hang in there. But for me, earlier this year, I was working through the pandemic, and I was reminded of a dream that basically started as a prayer that I prayed probably 6 or 7 years ago. And it was a dream that God would use my very, very hard situation to bring hope to women who needed it. And so a month ago, on September 15th, I got a chance to watch that dream come true. So if you've been hanging out with me, you know that my most recent book, Surrendered, 40 Devotions to Help You Let Go and Live Like Jesus, that it was released. And this book is actually the part of my dream. This isn't my only dream, but I remember years ago at a very low place in life, at a time in life when I didn't know when the hard and the heartbreaking would end, a time in life when there were days when I could barely get out of bed. But I just began to pray and just say, God, one day I dream that I could take what I've gone through now and that it could be used to help others. And so this devotional. It's what I call a spiritual cup of coffee for those of us who struggled with control issues. There are 40 devotions that are real short, only takes 3 minutes to read, but they will help you let go, and they will give you the hope and practical tools based on God's word so that you can live like Jesus. And so there's my fabulous producer, Tabitha. She's got a banner there, and she's going to put a link in the comments if you haven't gotten a copy of the devotional. But I wanted to share that with you because sometimes we feel like we've got to be on top of the world for us to start dreaming, and that's not true. Sometimes our dreams begin as prayers in very painful seasons of life. And so tonight I want for all of us to get better together by focusing on what it looks like to have dreams. Now, we've got some ladies who shared their dreams. I saw Terry. Hi, Terry. Thanks for joining us. Terry said that all of her kiddos and significant others and grandchildren will know Jesus. I love that dream, Terry. That is beautiful. Melinda, thank you for joining us this evening and your encouragement. We're so glad to have you, Melinda. Sherry Weller, thank you. It's so good to see you, Sherry. I'm hoping we get a chance to just give a hug to each other soon. Brittany Griswold, she shares her dream of becoming a counselor or a life coach. I love it, Brittany. Love it. So that brings me to our guest tonight. And this is just such a beautiful session that you are going to enjoy, because tonight we get to talk to my friend Jill Kemerer. Jill is a Publishers Weekly best-selling author of inspirational romance novels for Harlequin Love Inspired. Jill's essentials include coffee, M&Ms, a stack of books, her miniature dachshund, and long walks outdoors. Jill lives in Northwest Ohio. She actually lives across town from me. She lives in Northwest Ohio with her husband and 2 grown children. And we've got Jill's contact information there in this post. I'm excited because Jill's going to talk to us about pursuing our dreams, but Jill also has a brand new book out, and it's called The Cowboys Christmas Blessing. And before the show, Jill and I were talking with Tabitha. I remember when Jill and I were at coffee years ago, and she was telling me about this series and about how the dream in her heart that it was. So tonight we're going to talk about dreams. Jill's going to tell you her story about how she pursued her dreams even when they didn't feel like they were coming true. So friends, please welcome to Better Together Facebook Live, my friend Jill.
Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for having me, Barb.
I am so glad that you decided to join me. How are you doing this evening?
I'm fantastic. And you?
I am doing great. And we've got some ladies in the comments who are saying hello. Sarah Taylor says hi. And she says she loves her coffee. Mary Dolan, who watches every week from California live on YouTube. Mary says she's grateful for Better Together. And Sarah, I love Sarah. She just wants to give you a hug, and she can't wait to read your book. So Terry Bryan wanted to know if you had a dachshund picture close by. She said,
I don't. How did I not? Wait, I have one. Just 1 second. Give me 1 second.
Go ahead. You guys, Jill and I, we're real life friends, and she will post pictures of her precious doggie on her social media. And,
I'm going to try to get this close, but that's her when she was a puppy. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah. Now she's getting old now, but yeah, she's a sweetheart.
She is. Well, speaking of that, are you up to play a game with me real quick?
Yeah.
All right. So audience, Jill is going to play a game that we call First Thing to Mind. And you, audience, you get a chance to play along with us. So I'm going to ask Jill, I'm actually going to give Jill 2 words, one at a time. And she is going to tell me the first thing that comes to mind. And audience, you are going to do the same thing as well. You are going to tell us the first thing that comes to mind. So Jill, are you ready for the first word?
I'm ready.
All right. So Jill, the very first word is this. Dog.
Sophie.
Sophie. And so tell us, how long have you had Sophie? And what is it, just when you think about Sophie, what do you think about?
Well, she will be 11 years old on October 21st. So, she's getting up there. We call her the old woman now, but she still acts like she's a toddler. She's got a lot of energy, and she's always on my lap, under a blanket. She's just a sweetheart.
Oh, I love that. Well, thank you. Audience, you guys tell me in the comments the first thing that comes to mind for you as well with dog. Now, Jill, we got a second word that comes for first thing that comes to mind. Audience, again, you can do the same thing. So, Jill, here's the second word. Christmas.
Oh, books. I write a Christmas book every year, and it's so much fun. It just makes my seasons fabulous because I'm thinking about Christmas, and putting all the Christmas feels in there. So yeah.
I love that. Well, I love it because I actually have audience. I told you that Jill was my friend. And so these are all of Jill's books that I have. And there are many Christmas books in there. One of my favorite one was last year, the Wyoming Christmas. I mean, you have Christmas and quadruplets.
I know.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong with babies.
Totally, totally. Well, we've got some ladies who've chimed in, and let's see. When we talked about, first thing that comes to mind, Terry is too sweet. She says Quimby, which is actually my dog, and I think like Terry, I'm like, Terry, did you have a Quimby as well? I'm trying to remember, but that's my dog. Sarah Taylor says that she and her family love reading Christmas books. Thanks, Taylor. And Michelle Solis just stopped in a moment ago. She just stopped in to say hi. Hi, Michelle. Okay, well, Jill, let's get down to business because the books that I held up, you are a novelist and you write stories that inspire. But as we talk about dreams this evening, a part of what we all grapple with in life is that our dreams aren't always like we think of something and then it happens.
Right.
So you were an engineer. I mean, that's like who you were. So at what point did you realize while you were being an engineer that you started dreaming about being a novelist?
Well, it actually started before then. It started in college. I had so much math and science homework all the time that I found myself writing stories just to break up the monotony. And they never got very far. And it was at that point I was like, oh, there's more to this writing thing than I thought, you know. But I kept at it, and it was just for fun. And then when I graduated school, I got a job as an engineer, and I really liked the work. It was very creative, but I kept just coming back to writing. And I remember going to Southwick Mall. I don't know if you remember that. It had like a Walden Books or something in there. And I'm strolling through after work one day, and I came across this book, and I have it here. It's called How to Write a Romance Novel and Get It Published. It's falling apart. And I'm like, that's for me. I'm getting that book. It's possible. And it was like, ding, you know. So I bought it, and that was when it just really clicked that maybe this is something I could do for a living. I don't know. But after a couple years of engineering, my husband got transferred, and I was pregnant, and we realized that I wanted to I wanted to stay home with our kids. And I knew my husband was going to have to be moving for his job. So I quit engineering, and I told him, I'm like, I'm going to be a novelist. I'm going to be a Harlequin novelist. And never did I know it was going to take as long as it did.
Well, and I'm so glad because as women hear your story, I don't know where women are at, but whenever somebody talks about their dream, especially when a lot of the dream comes true, there's that feeling of, well, it must have been really easy for them. Like, Jill, it must have been really easy for you to make this and more happen. Jill, was it really that easy?
I am what you would call a very... I'm not, the opposite of like instant success. That would be me. I had so many years of rejections, and it wasn't just the rejections. It was realizing that just because I have an idea and that I'm writing it down, and even just because I can make it into a full-length novel, it doesn't mean the book is publishable or good. And it just took a lot of practice and studying and putting my work out there and getting those rejections for me to even become a good writer. So it was a long, tough journey for sure.
And one of the reasons I admire you is because of your journey. When we have dreams in life, it's often rejection. We think rejection means that we're supposed to stop that dream. And so as you think about those hard days for yourself and when you would get rejection, like how did you coach yourself? What did you used to say to yourself on those hard days?
Well, I think a turning point for me, I was just telling myself, oh, nope, it's the next one, the next one. And then the next one would come around and it would be another rejection. And I remember getting to a point where I just really got down on my knees and I prayed. And I'm like, God, no one likes my books. No one likes this. Why am I doing this? And I can't describe it, but I just kind of heard this. I don't know if it was God or me, but I heard, but I like your books. And it just made me cry because I realized that was all that really mattered, that God liked my books, that I liked my books, and that I had to keep writing them then. It really just didn't, the rest of it didn't matter.
I love that you said that because audience, if I could just talk to you for a moment with Jill here, when you see folks like me and Jill, like, yeah, we wrote some books and they were published. For all of us, we all have dreams and there are people out there who do have some kind of instant success. That was not me and Jill.
Not me, no.
Yeah, but I want to just send some encouragement that rejection is hard. Rejection is painful, but it is the point of just realizing that there are some things that if it means a lot that we can keep going, we can't control what it looks like, but we can keep going. And so Jill, you said that you just kept writing stories. And so the fact that you didn't give up and you kept writing, how did that start to benefit you?
Well, I got to a point where I understood that the rejections and the years of working hard at it and writing the books were really not the point. The point was to get me completely dependent on God. And when I got to that point, it didn't all fall in place. I mean, I still was getting rejections. I still wasn't published, but I had a peace about it. And I was in a better place. I felt like I felt closer to God than I ever had because it was the one thing I couldn't make happen. Like I could do the college, I could be the engineer, I could do this. I just couldn't make it happen no matter what I did. And I had to completely rely on God at that point. And it took a while, but eventually I did get that contract.
I love that. And we're not minimizing how difficult rejection is. We're not minimizing because how many years did it take from the time that you really got serious to the time you got published? How long did it take?
Oh, it took 7 years, and I believe I had 11 novels rejected.
You wrote 11 novels that were rejected.
Yes. You don't want to follow this path.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Yeah.
And so audience, if you're listening and you have a dream, I mean, Jill, I did not know that part. I knew that it was like 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
So audience, so Jill, the question for you, and audience, the question for you, Jill, if you could go back to yourself 10 years ago, what would you say to yourself? And audience, I want you to answer that question as well. Put it in the comments. Now that you see where you're at now, Jill, now that you've had to fight through adversity and really invest in yourself, what would you go back and tell yourself 10 years ago?
I would tell myself to just hold on, and keep doing what you're doing because it'll all be worth it. It is all worth it. It has been worth every bit of it.
Wow. Well, and we're going to talk, audience, we're going to talk about Jill's new book in a moment, but many of you know that in addition to being an author, I actually am a literary agent with Jill and I are a part of the same literary agency. And in fact, 2 weeks ago, Jill and I had coffee and she gave me these flowers as a congratulations. But the reason why I'm telling you this, audience, is because Jill just had extraordinary news happen just a couple of weeks ago. And so we talked about Jill's story. It took her 7 years to get published. She had 11 novels that were rejected. But then, Jill, 2 weeks ago, tell us what happened.
I got the call from my agent, Rachel, who also is with Books and Such Agency, and we're on our 10-year agentversary. I'm excited. But she called me and told me that I was being offered a 6-book deal with Harlequin Love Inspired. It was like, I was sitting here, right here, and I was like, yes, yes, you know, it was a happy day.
I was in our agency meeting when they made that announcement, and it really is an extraordinary news for an author to be offered a 6-book contract. That does not happen every single day. And so for me, like when I think about all of, well, wait, we've got congratulations. So Melinda says you are both so inspiring. Thanks, Melinda. Terry says congratulations. Kathy Hendry, thank you so much. She said congratulations. Yes.
Thank you.
And then we've got Lynette Foster, who's joining us from Arkansas. Oh, it's good to have you, Lynette. But Jill, when you think about just this road and where you're at right now, how did you invest in your dream? Like, what does it look like for you to invest in your dream, just in your dream?
I think one of the biggest things for me was back when I was really writing full time and not seeing any results except rejections. I still took myself seriously, and I had office hours. I set boundaries with my family. My husband and I invested in a laptop. I mean, I know it sounds stupid, but we just didn't have a lot of extra money at the time. And I needed to have, the equipment to actually do this job. I went to a few conferences, even though they were just really hard to afford at the time. And that was very beneficial too. But yeah, just joining writers groups and just thinking of myself as a published author really went a long way.
I love that. And for you, that's the Novelist. And so, ladies, if you're listening, I want you to give yourself permission to invest in your dream. You don't need permission to go overboard and to go into debt and to throw your family into chaos. But there are ways that you can hire a coach who can help you take 1 or 2 steps. You can go to a conference. If it's an area of interest that you have, going to a conference is a great way to inspire you. They've got, if you love scrapbooking, if you love basket weaving, whatever you love, there are all kinds of online resources for you to invest in yourself. And those are things that you can do. Like Jill said, it can be expensive, but the payoff is so far beyond. And so Kathy Hendry, thank you, Kathy. Kathy says, I've had many rejections for the jobs I've been applying for. It's been overwhelming sometimes, but deep in my heart, I'm being still like God wants me to be. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Kathy. Lynette, she says that people see that you when people see they invest in yourself, they know you are serious and they won't mind investing in you because you did. That's a whole word right there. Melinda says, give yourself permission to invest in your dreams. Yes, give yourself permission, friends. Absolutely. Oh, Jill, thank you. Oh, my goodness, for the wisdom that you've shared. Now, let's talk about the Cowboys Christmas Blessing, because this is your brand new book that just came out on September 29th. And the Cowboy Blessing, friends, it's available at Walmart. Jill, in addition to being one of my friends, is one of my favorite authors. Tell us about the Cowboy's Blessing, Jill. What's this book about?
Okay, well, this book is about a young widow who has triplet babies. I know, babies. And she's been living with her mom ever since her husband died. Her mom's a little flighty, and decides to move to Florida, spur of the moment, right before Thanksgiving, leaving Nicole and the triplets without a home. So her friends tell her, go talk to Jed Wilson, the rancher who has a really nice cabin on his property. He rents it out sometimes. And she already knows Jed. She feels very comfortable with him. So she asks, and he's like, yeah, of course. But I'm not going to give it all away, but they have to work out an arrangement because she is broke. And he's a little older than her, and he's really quiet, and he's just convinced he's going to be a bachelor forever. And she's like, I just lost my husband, and I'm getting feelings for this other man. How dare I? So it's all set around Christmas too, and it's just a feel-good emotional story.
It is. And the beautiful part, before the show, I was talking, Jill and I were talking with my fabulous producer, Tabitha. And one of the parts that I love about your writing is that you write real stories of faith journeys where people have their struggles with God in their story. And as a reader, I have been able to work through some of my spiritual baggage through your stories. And so why do you love being a writer that incorporates faith versus just being a novelist?
Well, I actually wrote sweet romances before Love Inspired. I still write some, but I found that was missing. Like, that's a big part of my life, prayer and faith and going to church. And I felt like it was missing from my heroines' lives and my heroes' lives. So whenever I'm writing a book, for whatever reason, whatever the characters are going through spiritually, I find that that's something I'm going through spiritually too. And by the end of the book, it's like I'm just learned how to deal with it just like they did. So it's hard to explain.
I love that. I love how you do it in such a way that it's natural, it's not cheesy. And when you write the stories themselves, these are the Cowboy series stories. What inspires you as a writer? Like, when you are creating your stories, like where do you draw inspiration from?
Well, a lot of it is within the parameters of what I'm writing. Like that book, I had already been contracted for a few years ago, like you had mentioned. So I know that I'm going to write about Wyoming and rancher and a woman with triplets. So I love it. So once I have those parameters, it's like it frees me to come up with the actual story. It's hard to describe. If you just like come up with a story, it'd be like, well, where is it? What are they doing? But knowing that I'm already going to write those, it just brings it all together in a much easier way for me.
Beautiful. Oh, thank you. Well, we've got one more question for you this evening. And audience, we have one more question for you as well. Because whenever we are pursuing our dreams, like Jill, she's got her new book and then she's got all the books to come. We all need to have people around us who help us, support us in our dreams, make us better together. So Jill, the question for you and the audience is, who encourages you to keep pursuing your dreams? And so audience, I want you to answer that question as well. And if it can be somebody that sends you a text message, somebody who said something to you as a kid, just tell us. If it's a friend, tag them in the comments. But Jill, who encourages you?
Well, I have a lot of people who encourage me, but my husband is definitely my biggest encourager. I remember when I really was considering quitting writing. It was the night before going to a conference, and I had just seen that somebody else got a contract with the editor I was going to be, pitching, and it was so depressing. I just fell apart, and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. And he just came upstairs where I had ran off, and he's like, I think you just need to give it one more year. And that just meant the world to me. Like, I was like, I can do it for one more year. But on a daily basis, I have a lot of writer friends who just, they stick with me through thick and thin. And my family, my mom, my sister, I'm just really blessed. My kids, they all just really support me.
I love that. We ask the audience and I've got a little feedback here. So Sarah Taylor, she said that her family gives encouragement to her. Terry says her friend Carol.
Oh.
And Sarah says, Jill, congratulations on your new release. And I want to say, Jill, how grateful I am that you just poured into the women this evening. We've got a lot of women who are sharing their support systems. Lynette, she has a wonderful list here. She says her god sisters, Zelda Hill, Cassandra, Denise, they encourage her to pursue her dreams. Terry says David Kaiser, who is a leader in our community. Kathy Hendry says her family. For me, Jill, I'm like you. I've got lots of people in my life who just in a long list of people who've encouraged me. And this evening, I appreciate what you've shared. We all deal with rejection on our way to going for our dreams. We all face setbacks. But ladies, what I hope this evening that you've drawn from Jill is that you have permission to invest in yourself, that you treat yourself seriously, and that you follow your dreams, that even if they don't seem to make sense, if it's something that God puts on your heart, that you can walk towards it. So Jill, is there anything else you'd like to share with the ladies?
No, you said it all. Just believe in yourself and trust in God's timing. It will work out.
I love that. And Melinda, thank you so much for your kind words. Melinda wrote a very sweet message, and I am so grateful that I get a chance to encourage all of you. So friends, thank you for joining us this week for the Better Together Facebook Live. If you enjoyed this episode or you've got a friend who needs encouragement, you can share this episode right from this page. You can watch past episodes of the Better Together Facebook Live at my blog page at barbruce.com. I'm so glad that you were here. Join me next week for a new episode. And ladies, until then, God bless and go for your dreams. Bye-bye.